Hey, g'day, g'day. It's the mathematical KM here, remembering the KM is definitely initials and not a title. A close game that was lost by a mistake. Well, I think that's being incredibly kind to me. This is going to be called a cautionary tale, and you could call it a demo of what happens if you do the wrong thing on move 4 with putting the 10 semi-auto moves of the hippo setup in. It is kind of, 76. I wouldn't even give myself that. It is giving my opponent 99.1% in the opening and 88 in the middle, and I've raised myself a few percent from 76 to 81 in the middle game. I was kicking and screaming from move 4. So let's take a look at how this is a cautionary tale if you're looking to play the hippo defence. And yeah, there we go. So let's go to the self-analysis. Video, a picture of me here. And let's go. And it's something that I've been getting right every time. But now that I've played it wrong and suffered the consequences, this particular mistake won't happen again. But here, by the by, here I am at 1475. I think I've gone up a little. There you go. My opponent, 1820. But Bill did what he had to do, but I made it easy for him. Let's see. He's taken the middle, nothing unusual. G6, nothing unusual. Continues, your fianchetto there. He brings a knight to f3, the standard move. Now, we'll go white's move. He's just stopping me from pinning his knight to his queen. Right now, we're not going to do knight f6. It's not one of our hippo setups. c6 is not right. a6, maybe. It stops the bishop coming in, and that would be problematic if it did. Typically, I've seen Solomon has often played the knight into d7, which does give a little bit more protection on e5. But what I've played in most of my games so far is e6, ready for legoing that way or legoing that way. Holding, you tend to lock the centre up with the hippo and then get the rest of your setup in. And I'm not sure why, but just for random reason, I've gone a little bit out of order and I've played b6. It's already nearly +1 to white. And that's the initial mistake, and it does force black setup away from the standard waterhorse, away from the hippo. And what you're going to see here is what bloody mindedness, when you're out of order, can achieve. The bishop comes. Not our normal move, but I fully agree with that computer now. The c-pawn forward is the way to go. And we're building a bit of a pyramid, and we can play a game and it's a different opening, not the hippo, and we'd be okay. That's only plus 0.5 to white. That would have been nice. Bishop d7 before a6 would make perfect sense so that he can't lock his bishop in here. But I'm a little bit out of sorts here. Once you do have the bishop there, then that knight coming in there can work nicely. But again, I really combobulated myself, or discombobulated pieces. Because, yep, that question mark well and truly. And I was unable to just play the d-pawn forward. And there you go, up to plus 4.2, because that allows his bishop to come in. Far better off, even here, bishop to b7 before that. Bishop b7 is only plus 1.8. This is the biggest mess of setting up the first 10 moves of the hippo I've played in any over-the-board tournament game. And I salute Bill. He's punished me for it, which is what you need to do. So this is a cautionary tale showing me just how the hippo initial 10 moves played out of order can be savaged. So that was definitely nice. And that was the wrong reaction there, and that is, it is a great move. Very hard to dig that bishop out. And I've got to react to the bishop now. I've got to move the rook, and that gives white a chance for more nefariousness over here. So we've moved the rook. Another great move. I need to do something about that now. Computer's telling me the best move is my other knight to f6 and just accept losing that knight. It probably is the best. h6 is the next, which you'll see just how terrible and how brilliant a piece this white knight's going to be. I can see how h6 is best. Second best, I should say. Oh, knight to h6 is second best. h6, which I was talking about, is third best. But taking the pawn, bit of a poison pawn, we're jumping up to plus 5.7 with that knight coming in as another great move. Getting all these great... This is how we got the 99.3 for Bill's opening section. Okay, it's threatening. Taking there, and if I don't do something about it, my queen's trapped. So my best move is bishop there. If he comes in and takes the pawn now, I can move my queen. Had dreams of getting the queen all the way to here and digging that bishop out, but he arranges for that to be a little more difficult. Now he's got the battery threatening my bishop with two pieces, and I've only got the one piece defending. And that also threatens mate. So I've got to stop the mate. Then he can take the bishop. I can't take it back. I take the knight. He takes that back. And then I thought I'll try and break the communication between the queen and the bishop. It can drop from plus 6 down to plus 3 if he doesn't find the best move, but he finds the best move, the bishop there. Now it wants my knight to come forward, or h6 to kick the bishop away, or queen c8. But I've gone with trying to trap the bishop, which is a little bit optimistic. And when he does see the trap closing totally, he just, as you would imagine, at the moment I can't move the knight. The moment I arrange so I can move the knight, he's just going to exchange the bishop for the knight. Okay, so he's developing another piece. I develop a piece. He takes it. All my pawns are... well, I've still got all 8 pawns, if that's anything. He castles, I castle. I have got my rook lined up on his queen. I was able to move my knight on the next move, so of course Bill does the right thing. He takes the knight with his bishop. I take back. He's lined up on that pawn that's only defended with only the one piece, the rook so far, but that's only defended by my queen. Move my queen to the side. I did have dreams of moving that pawn forward, making his knight move, and wherever it went, of potentially grabbing that pawn there, and not to happen. The A3 stopped all of that. I put the pawn forward, hoping he'd take with the pawn and thinking about the fact that I get a discovered attack on the queen, but he brings it in, and what I hadn't noticed until a little bit, I noticed it now, but is I could take his queen, but then I'm going to lose mine. With a check fork from the knight, and they gave it a brilliancy for that very reason. So I've moved. Now the knight is still hanging, and if he doesn't do something about that, I'm sure he will, but if he doesn't do something about that, then his queen's still threatened by the rook. He drops his queen to the side, and it's attacking a hanging rook. So yes, I could grab the hanging knight, but he'd get the hanging rook. So that's not really the best deal. So, and let's see. C5 was actually the best move that was on offer. So now the queen can't get to the hanging rook, and his knight is still hanging, not hanging anymore. Rook A to F7, best move played. Two pieces lined up on his F-pawn. He's got his queen and his king, so two pieces isn't enough. It's actually quite a clever knight journey, and it's got the discovered attack on my queen. Now I've got three pieces aimed at the pawn. He's currently only got the two defenders. But what I was saying about his knight, now the knight, queen, king, three pieces and three pieces, so I haven't got enough. And what's more, the knight is attacking my queen. I bring it across, so I can come in first with a rook if that becomes handy. But it's giving up a pawn there. And what's more, the queen is still lined up on that f-pawn. It's still one of the three defenders. That was a bit of a mistake. I was dreaming of taking the knight. If he took back, I could take. At this stage, I've been kicking and screaming. It's all just getting a bit hard. And, G3 was pretty obvious with the pawn fork. Kind of surprised. It's actually only 0.4 worse than taking the pawn fork, so it's a pretty good move. It comes with check. I'm back out of that pawn fork, though. There goes most of my hopes and dreams. As you can tell, I've been doing my best to attack that f-pawn, get some checks in. And that's very much it. Now we've got the fork on the two rooks with the knight. At that point I've shaken Bill's hand. Yes, he's punished me, but as you'd expect with that higher elo. But also that is the worst initial 10 moves setting up the hippo that I've played in any of the tournaments over the board. So cautionary tale on making sure your opponent can't drive forward to E5. It's just become discombobulated. And having let it happen, also I should have given up on the hippo totally at that point, and I could have dealt with. Let's come in. Right, at this point, I've got to leave the hippo structure. The knight there is just no good, and very much. Let's just have a look at a few moves. If we leave the hippo and we say goodbye to the bishop, let's go with just the best couple of moves, and then I guess we're still a little bit hyper modern. Whatever it is that we're playing, it is the queen here, really? Lined up on that bishop? But, okay, well, we'll keep going. This is just madly seeing a few. And he backs it up, and then there's a bit of a. I've got the knight and the queen protecting that pawn. He's only got he's got two pieces, and I've got two pieces. Now I've got three pieces on it. It's an entirely different game. So I want to go all the way back to the start, thank you. Don't normally put these what ifs, but it's kind of important when you've left the hippo behind and seeing what you should have gone into. But yeah, for me, playing a b6 was the big mistake. And what's second? Bishop d7. Really not fianchettoing. Yeah, I agree with that. Well, apart from the bishop being where the knight goes, nearly got the standard pawn structure. But let this game be a less cautionary tale of order matters. And it's also interesting to watch white punish the moves being out of order. So well done, Bill, and I'll just put this one in the learning a few lessons box.